Hi everyone. I promised to put up this video. I did an Eventbrite on metabolic health the other night, a presentation, I think was last week now, on metabolic health, what I know and what you need to know in 2024. Move the slide. So in 2022, 2023, I gained a lot of weight really quickly. I was doing a job where I was driving a lot. Now, I'm not saying I was skinny mini. Before that, I was pretty normal weight, and I would have been pretty normal most of my life, and sometimes been a little bit overweight, sometimes been a little bit underweight, depending, like most people. But I would have gone on diets in previous years. I did the motivation weight management, and I did some other diet as well, the kind of gym diet that the gym instructor told me to do. And I went to the gym a lot. That was brilliant. But as like anything, after a while it wore off and I became a little bit heavy again. But I was never massively heavy, but I was definitely gained a lot of weight very quickly in the space of about 5 months. So in March of April of 2023, I felt really tired, exhausted. I was overweight, particularly belly fat, and driving a lot. I'm wondering if I had a hernia because I had a massive pain under my left side. And I think if I hadn't had that and I hadn't had to spend a weekend lying on my back where I practically couldn't, I was crying with the pain. And I thought, oh my God, it's probably a hernia. If I go to the doctor, they'll, put a mesh in or whatever and stitch it up and but I'll still be fat. So it'll press, I had a feeling it's going to press out somewhere else. So I thought, oh my God, another diet of, 3 months of crankiness and just pain in the butt. And I said, how are there people in the world that stay slim and yet are not hungry? And I just really was fascinated with this and decided I would really try to look into it. And I found ketogenic diet. And I was like, this can't work. High fat, medium protein, low carb. And I really thought this can't work because every other diet I did was high carb, but low fat, all that kind of one. So I accidentally found it really, I was scrolling like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So then I decided I would start. I didn't start immediately. I probably found it around March and then I didn't actually start it till May. So it took me a while to kind of believe in it and psych myself up for it. So I started it. I was strict at the beginning. I'll go through that. And I lost 41 pounds in total. I've regained some of it over Christmas, which Christmas has gone into January and February. But the difference is that I feel amazing and I can maintain my weight. It is so easy and I'm never hungry. So this made me look into a lot of other things. I'd done occupational health as part of a course I had done in UCC, and I had some time on my hands. So I was like, why is the nation so fat? Why are we like this? Why was I one of the many that was crumbling into this? So the answer I came with was insulin resistance. There's a huge amount of research. You're going to be hearing it a lot in the next few years. Or metabolic health or gut health. This is what is the new thing, and it's going to be big. We are eating too often and not giving ourselves the body a rest. So my old diets would have been eat often, but little and watch your calories. This is not about calories. This is about eating real food, cutting out the grains and starches and refined carbs as much as possible. I cut them out completely for 3 months. Now I cycle in and out of it and I manage to maintain my weight. Your body gets better at what I call fat adaptation. We are eating too many refined carbs. We're eating too much sugar. We are consuming soda and diet soda. And I have long banned diet soda in my house because I had this feeling that there was something, it couldn't be good for you. It turns out it's not, and that it triggers an insulin response even though you have not taken any actual sugar. And in fact, it can cause more cravings because your tongue sends a signal that there's sugar coming in, no sugar, no food arrives, and then your body tells you to crave more sugar. We're not minding our gut microbiome. That was a big awakening for me, the gut microbiome. I'm going to get into that in a minute. We don't know how to manage our health. We expect to get sick as we age. That's another thing. It was kind of like, oh, this is part of what happens when you get older. And I just thought, oh God, flip that. How can the ketogenic diet? So I follow the ketogenic diet, but it's not exactly the ketogenic diet. It's basically just real food, low carb, high fat, high protein. I probably have more protein than fat for a strict ketogenic diet, which is usually used for epileptics. But in general, it's roughly speaking, my diet is the ketogenic diet. And I do intermittent fasting. This is key. The intermittent fasting is key. But intermittent fasting is very difficult if you're eating carbs, which I have found as well myself. But if you're not eating carbs, the ketogenic diet with the intermittent fasting, which for me is 16/8. So for 16 hours I don't eat, and I eat in an eating window of 8 hours. So I basically usually don't eat till 1 o'clock in the day. So I don't have any breakfast. I am never hungry. I am never hungry. In fact, sometimes I'm just eating for the sake of it, out of a habit. That was one of the biggest things I had to change, was my habitual processes of eating during watching TV and all the rest of it. So keto I use as a framework for low carb eating. I eat real food. So I eat a lot of eggs, bacon, beef, if I can afford it, lots of rocket salad, broccoli, cauliflower, cheese is great, all of that stuff. I can even have red wine on this diet, which is really handy. I used to drink a lot of beer, but I don't drink beer so much anymore because it has too high a carb content. Guinness is very high carbs. So you can do it vegan, vegetarian, but with vegan and vegetarian, more vegan, you will have to take supplements. You have no choice. You will have to take supplements. I do take a multivitamin, and I take omega-3. Sometimes I take potassium. So I take my electrolytes come from my sea salt. I usually use Himalayan sea salt, but I often supplement it with potassium sometimes, which is totally manky, and magnesium other times. And I recently got a blood test, and my magnesium and potassium levels are fantastic. Intermittent fasting is key. So that stopping eating is very important. So how do I implement keto and intermittent fasting? So the first thing I did was go out and buy bags of lettuce that I liked. I don't really like a lot of lettuce. It's just never been my thing, but I found this lettuce rocket, which I had many times in sandwiches and stuff, that are probably more in Dublin, that I really liked. And it really isn't that expensive. It's 99p a bag, 99 cent. And I often just eat it out of the bag. I'm a bit of a lazy cook. I can actually cook, but I'm a bit lazy. So I often actually stand up and eat my stuff raw because I'm too lazy to cook it. But in actual fact, most of the time, that's better for you. You can do lentils, beans. I don't tend to eat those that much. I just don't love them. I love them sometimes, but they're not mad. I'm not mad about them. Meat, cheese, and eggs are my big ones. I used to eat a lot of soy. I was vegetarian before, but it takes too long to prepare, so I'm terribly lazy. So collagen powder, I do take sometimes. I do like that, and I take a collagen tablet sometimes. It's very expensive, but well worth it when I throw it in the basket. Get fats, good ones like butter. Now, I eat butter. Some people on keto don't like butter. So you can have a lot more oils like extra virgin olive oil on your salads. I drink it sometimes, drink a glass of extra virgin olive oil. It's totally disgusting. But to be honest, it does make you feel good. I do apple cider vinegar as well. You can have coconut oil, which I sometimes eat out of the jar. It's not that great, but it's if you don't want to use butter, you can use things like that. Cheese is perfectly. The more fat I'm eating, the less weight I put on. So get going. It will be hard in the beginning. So what do I eat to get results? So this is a typical meal. It has fried rashers, streaky rashers, which I never thought I'd eat. Now I don't really care. Before, when I was a child, I used to pick the fat out of it. If my mother ever got streaky rashers, which was rare, I would actually be the one picking the fat out and only eat the meat. So I'm just like consume them down. I don't even care about the fat. I don't even think about it. And that's a massive change. I never thought I could be like that, and I feel better than ever. So I have boiled eggs, and then that's rocket salad. I actually don't put any dressing on it usually. I just eat it with my fist. I'm so basic. I'm like someone out of a cave. But you can do that too if you want to if you want to take some more time. And at the beginning, I probably took a little bit more time, but now sometimes I can be a little bit rapid. So it's low carb, increase good fats, protein. Make sure you really look after your protein. So I have upped my protein a little bit, which I find actually helps me. And it's supposed to be ketogenic strict diet is 70% good fats, which like avocados and stuff like that. Lots of nuts, which I do love. 20% protein and 10% high fiber carbs. So like a size of your fist for a woman and twice the size of your fist for a man in terms of protein. So if you're having some meat, like 2 fillet steaks for a man per day, kind of thing. But I do eggs a lot of the time and bacon. So so no fruit and root vegetables in the beginning if you're trying to get away from being insulin resistant, and I'll explain that in a minute. They spike your insulin too much, and what you're trying to do is, human beings in the Western world, we're used to spiking our insulin up and down, up and down. We eat toast for breakfast, then we have a snack at 10 o'clock, which is carb related, refined carbs, or as I call them, white carbs. So our insulin is going up and down and up and down, and this is happening over years and years and years. So we're insulin resistant. So our insulin is not working with the cells, as with some of the cells, as much as it should be. So it's not working, the whole system is not working properly. And all we have to do is take out the refined carbs for a period of time, clean out your system, and allow the insulin and the cells to repair and the insulin to get back into working order with the cells. So what insulin does is basically carries your glucose around your body and knocks on the door of the cell and says, do you need some fuel? And they say, no, I'm good, or yes, I want some, or whatever. So that's basically what insulin does. And if there's too much fuel, insulin will make sure that it's stored away in the adipose tissue, which is the fat tissue that we would call, and that becomes, so it's not fat that becomes our fat, it's the carbohydrates and the sugar, for the most part. So how do I adapt if I have insulin resistance? Insulin resistance will make it very hard for you to, that's why dieting is so hard in general. And it took me 3 days. I would say 3 days is all it takes. I started on, I think it was a Friday, and it was very hard. I got keto flu, so I kind of felt fluey, was very tired. So I had read all the literature and looked at all the YouTube videos, and it said, make sure you go to sleep. So I did a lot of sleeping in the 3 days, and I did a lot of walking, just to kind of get out of the kitchen, if you like. So like I said, we've been releasing insulin for too long. So what you're trying to do is get your body into a state of where it can use up its own fat. So you want to be what I call fat adapted. You want to be able to cycle in between using the glucose or the glycogen that you've stored short term, which is what you eat, and you want to be able to use the fat stores that you have on your body every now and again, and that's called ketosis. So you must get off your addiction to refined carbs. I was definitely a complete addict for years, and I would say in a carb coma. And you must fast for at least 12 hours. So that's basically just your sleeping time, and just maybe take out one of your meals. Don't eat till 11 o'clock at night. Finish eating at about 8. I finish eating always between 5 and 8, usually around 5. So sometimes my eating window will be tighter than 8 hours. I would recommend starting on a Friday if you're working, and maybe taking the Monday off. Increase your water consumption. I like sparkling, and it means I drink it. I'm not a mad water drinker otherwise, but I do drink a good bit with that. So get off sugar and white carbs is what I call them, and you will get rid of your type 2 diabetes, which is caused by insulin resistance. No bread, no pasta, no rice. You have to be strict at the beginning. It's not difficult. The worst part will be the boredom. You will absolutely be bored out of your tree. I did a lot of walking. Sometimes I ended up doing 20 or 30,000 steps just because of boredom or trying to keep away from the food in the house. But once you get into it, you wonder, how did you live before? How did you live before? So 3 days is really big. And I would read the Obesity Code by Jason Fung. He's a diabetes doctor, and his thing is intermittent fasting. That is what's going to get you out of being a diabetic, type 2. Case for keto to reverse or improve dementia, Parkinson's. This man, Dr. Bretterson, has several books written on reversing and healing dementia and Alzheimer's. I would recommend anybody who has this in their lives, I recommend you reading his books. You can find them online. What is metabolic health? So it's basically you've probably heard of your metabolism. It's your gut health. And it's you also looking after your microbiome, which I'm just going to get into now. What is insulin resistance? I've already explained that. It's when your body has been producing insulin for too long, and you are basically, your cells are exhausted. So fat, there's 2 types of fat. You've got the subcutaneous fat, which is the white jiggly stuff on the outside, that little bit of belly fat you have, or around your butt. And then you've got the visceral fat, which is the one on the inside. That's the bad one, and that's the one that probably was causing me problems. I didn't get it checked in the end by the doctor because I didn't really want to know that I had any problems. So how did I get rid of my fat? Strict ketogenic diet. And how long do I need to do for this? 3 days to 3 months. What is the gut microbiome? So that's the bit in your lower intestine, and it loves fiber. So I do feed it fiber. There's a plate of fiber right there. Lots of good fiber. Where's the evidence? Go and check that out. You can take a screenshot of that. Keto and Cancer, very good book. And then we have Benjamin Bickman, amazing author, and he is the answer to insulin resistance, why we get sick. Read his book. Best of luck, everybody. See you soon.